Have you ever stopped to think how much power slips through your fingers every time you share too much? In a world obsessed with likes and validation, silence isn't weakness, it's a revolution. What if the key to true inner peace isn't in telling your story, but in choosing when to keep it sacred? Today, we're diving deep into timeless Stoic wisdom that challenges everything you thought about expression and privacy. Ready to reclaim your power? Let's unlock the secret strength found in silence. In a world that pushes us to share every moment, every feeling, every success, and even every failure, it takes real strength to hold back. To keep some things to yourself. This isn't about hiding or shutting down. It's about honoring your inner world, protecting your peace, and reclaiming control over your story. When you understand the power of privacy, you start to see that not everything needs a spotlight. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs an audience. There's a quiet strength in discretion. The courage to resist the urge to broadcast every detail of your life is a rebellion against a culture addicted to oversharing. Social media tells us, if it's not seen, it didn't happen. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus said, silence is safer than speech. Not because silence hides who you are, but because it honors who you are becoming. When you hold back, you're not shrinking, you're growing in a way that demands respect. You're creating a sacred space for your transformation to take root without interference, without judgment, without distraction. Think about how quickly peace vanishes when your most vulnerable moments become public. Once you share your struggles with those who aren't ready or willing to hold them with care, you risk turning vulnerability into exposure. And once exposure happens, control slips through your hands. Your story becomes someone else's narrative. Your wounds are examined, dissected, and misunderstood. But when you choose to protect your experience, your plans, your fears, your healing, you reclaim your power. You set boundaries not just with others, but with yourself. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's discernment. It's the conscious decision to share only what strengthens your growth and shields your peace. This isn't about shutting people out or building walls. It's about protecting your inner sanctuary. Imagine your mind and soul as a garden. You wouldn't invite just anyone to trample through your flowers or pick your fruit. You'd let only those who respect and nurture your space in. Keeping certain things to yourself means you're planting seeds in silence, watering your growth in private, and letting your transformation bloom naturally, without noise or distraction. When you overshare, you give away pieces of yourself that you might not be ready to part with. You expose your journey to opinions that can become chains. Those opinions can shape how others treat you, and more importantly, how you treat yourself. The more you tell, the more you dilute your power. You risk becoming defined by your struggles, your mistakes, your fears. But you are not your wounds. You are not your past. You are the author of your future. So next time you feel the impulse to explain, to justify, to narrate every detail, pause. Ask yourself, does sharing this serve my growth? Or is it just a reflex, a way to seek validation, to fill a silence that feels uncomfortable? The answer might surprise you. Often, the most powerful transformation happens quietly, when no one is watching, when you're not performing for an audience, when you're simply facing yourself with honesty and courage. In that stillness, your thoughts clarify, your emotions settle, your strength grows. You stop seeking permission to be whole. You stop depending on others to validate your journey. You build a sanctuary within that no one can invade unless you allow it. This kind of strength is magnetic. People will notice when you're no longer available to every distraction, every drama, every demand for explanation. They will feel the depth of your presence because you've learned that your silence isn't absence, it's power. This lesson, however, is just the beginning. Holding your truth close prepares you to communicate more intentionally, to speak from strength rather than suffering. It sets the stage for the next step, understanding how your words teach others to treat you. Because what you share shapes not only your narrative, it shapes the way the world responds to you. Hold on to this power. Guard it. Cherish it, and prepare to learn how to wield your voice with purpose, so that when you do speak, you command respect and inspire change. The next lesson will show you how to transform your words from a source of vulnerability into a tool of strength. Your silence today builds the foundation for your presence tomorrow. Keep some things to yourself, because your power begins in what you choose not to say. Your words are more than just sounds. They are the blueprint others use to understand who you are and how to treat you. Every time you speak, you send a message, not only to those around you, but also to yourself. Your language shapes your identity, your relationships, and your boundaries. If you constantly express doubt, frustration, or pain, you teach others to see you through that lens. And often, that becomes the only lens they use. But what if you could shift that narrative? What if your words reflected strength, clarity, and self-respect? The way you communicate your struggles or your victories defines the energy you invite into your life. When you habitually talk about your problems, you unintentionally make yourself a prisoner of those problems. People begin to identify you by your hardships rather than by your potential or your resilience. The Stoics understood this deeply. They weren't about denying pain or emotion, but about mastering how to express them with discipline and wisdom. Seneca said, "Speech is a mirror of the soul." If your speech constantly revolves around suffering, it doesn't just affect others, it changes how you see yourself. Repeating stories of pain turns those stories into your identity. Your wounds become chains that hold you back. But here's the powerful truth. You can choose what story you tell. You can speak from a place of strength, not just suffering. You can use your words to build clarity, not confusion. This doesn't mean you pretend to be okay when you're not. It means you choose carefully when, where, and how you share your truth. You learn to process internally before performing externally. You develop the emotional maturity to know who deserves to hear your deepest stories and who doesn't. Your words become invitations, inviting others to see you at your best, to respect your journey, and to support your growth. Every time you speak, you're essentially teaching people how to treat you. If you complain constantly, if you ask for validation incessantly, if you cast yourself as a victim, others will respond accordingly. They may pity you, dismiss you, or take advantage of your vulnerability. But when you communicate with intention and confidence, you set a new standard. You show up as someone who commands respect, who values their peace, and who won't tolerate less than what they deserve. This lesson is a natural progression from the power of silence. When you hold certain things close, you create a reserve of strength that informs how you speak. Silence builds the foundation, but your words are the architecture that shapes your world. They either build bridges or barriers, connections or divisions. So ask yourself, what story are my words telling? Am I reinforcing my power, or am I giving it away? Am I inviting people into my strength, or am I rehearsing my pain? The answers will guide you in reclaiming your voice, not just as a tool for expression, but as a weapon of empowerment. When you speak with purpose, you change the tone of your life. People will learn to meet you with depth, respect, and presence. Your words will no longer be noise. They will carry weight. They will teach others how to honor your boundaries, how to appreciate your worth, and how to engage with you authentically. This is not about silence or suppression. It's about transformation. It's about choosing when to speak and what to say so that your words build your future, rather than trap you in your past. It's about owning your narrative and steering it toward growth and freedom. And as you master this art of intentional communication, you prepare yourself for the next crucial step, understanding why you don't need to share every detail of your progress. Because growth, like power, is often quiet before it becomes visible. Your words teach others how to treat you. Make sure they teach respect, strength, and clarity. This understanding will be your key to moving from being defined by what you share to being defined by what you become. Progress is sacred. It's the quiet, often unseen transformation that happens inside you, the slow burn of effort, discipline, and growth. But in today's world, where instant validation is just a post away, we've fallen into the trap of announcing every step of our journey before it's even fully formed. We rush to share every detail of our progress, the workouts, the new habits, the goals we're chasing. Yet, the more we expose, the more we risk weakening the very progress we want to build. Think about it. When you constantly broadcast your efforts, you create a false sense of accomplishment. You get caught up in the applause, the likes, the comments, and your brain mistakenly believes the job is done. But real growth isn't a performance. It's a process, often messy, unpredictable, and deeply personal. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They taught us that true transformation speaks through action, not announcement. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Notice the order. Say it to yourself, quietly, privately, and then do it. Not the other way around. Progress is meant to be lived, not performed. By sharing too soon, you invite distraction, opinions, doubts, even criticism. Suddenly, you're no longer just growing. You're performing growth for an audience. And that pressure can derail you. When you put your progress on display before it's solid, you expose yourself to external expectations. You start feeling the need to prove your worth, to convince others that you're changing. And if you stumble, which is inevitable, fear of judgment can stop you from continuing altogether. It's a cruel cycle. Oversharing breeds pressure, pressure breeds fear, and fear halts progress. But what if you protected your progress? What if you treated your growth like a sacred contract between you and your future self? No updates, no announcements, just discipline, just consistent effort, just action. Imagine the power of moving quietly, without the burden of early applause or scrutiny. When your progress is private, you give yourself room to learn, to fail, to adapt without outside noise. You focus on becoming, not on proving. And by the time others notice, the work is already done. You've already become. This isn't about secrecy or hiding your light. It's about discernment. It's about knowing that not everyone needs to witness your journey, especially the early stages when your goals are fragile and still taking root. Some parts of your growth belong only to you until they're strong enough to stand on their own. The world may urge you to share constantly, but wisdom whispers, hold back. Protect your progress. Let your results speak louder than your words. Let your actions shout where your voice is quiet. This lesson flows naturally from what we've discussed about how your words teach others how to treat you. If you constantly talk about your efforts and struggles, you may inadvertently invite doubt, pity, or dismissal. But if you let your progress unfold quietly and authentically, people will respond to the strength and consistency of your results. So ask yourself, am I sharing this to grow or to be seen? Am I building my future or performing my present? Am I disciplined in my actions or distracted by my need for validation? Because here's the truth, the most powerful progress is lived quietly, consistently, and authentically. It's the work you do when no one is watching. It's the strength you build in silence, the habits you form in solitude, the resilience you cultivate away from the spotlight. And as you protect your growth, you prepare yourself for the next powerful lesson, letting your results speak louder than your words. Because in the end, what you do carries more weight than what you say. Hold your progress close. Nurture it with patience and discipline. Let your evolution be a quiet storm that can't be ignored, not because you shouted, but because you showed up. This is how true transformation takes root. This is how you move from talking about change to becoming change. The path to mastery isn't in broadcasting every step. It's in embodying your growth until it becomes undeniable. Keep your progress sacred, and watch your life transform beyond words. In a world obsessed with noise and constant updates, there is an incredible power in silence. The power of letting your results speak louder than your words. Too often, we fall into the trap of explaining, justifying, or announcing what we're doing before the work is truly done. But words, no matter how convincing, can't replace the undeniable weight of real action. Think about the people you respect the most. Those who don't boast or constantly seek attention, but who simply show up, deliver consistently, and let their achievements tell the story. Their quiet strength is magnetic because their results carry authenticity. When actions align with intentions, words become unnecessary. The Stoics taught us that truth needs no embellishment. Seneca famously said, "Let your life be your message." This means that instead of talking about your plans or struggles endlessly, you build a life that reflects your values and your growth. People will notice without you having to spell it out. Your consistency and discipline become your voice. Words can be empty promises or performances. Saying you're working on yourself isn't the same as doing the work every day. Claiming you're changing means nothing if your habits remain the same. When you speak too much without backing it up with tangible progress, you risk losing credibility, even with yourself. There's a subtle danger in seeking approval through words. It creates an illusion of progress, a dopamine hit that tricks your brain into feeling satisfied prematurely. You start performing growth for an audience rather than living it authentically. This performance drains your energy and distracts you from the real work that needs to be done. Let your actions be loud. Show up for yourself with discipline and dedication. Write the pages of your book instead of just telling people you're writing it. Heal through consistent self-care rather than announcing every setback and recovery. Build your skills through daily practice instead of broadcasting every intention. The beauty of letting results speak is that it requires patience, humility, and unwavering focus. It's easy to shout about success when it happens. It's much harder to stay quiet and committed during the slow grind when no one is watching. Yet, that quiet commitment is what separates those who succeed from those who only dream. Letting results speak also protects you from external distractions, the opinions, doubts, and negativity that come when you share too early or too often. When your progress is visible in your life, it commands respect naturally. There's no need to defend or explain your path because your reality is undeniable. This doesn't mean you disappear completely. It means you choose when to share and with whom. It means you build your story through action first, and then when the time is right, your words amplify what your results have already proven. You become someone who inspires by example, not by noise. This lesson flows directly from protecting your progress in silence. When you guard your journey and let your work accumulate quietly, you create a foundation so strong that no criticism or doubt can shake you. Your life becomes your loudest, clearest message. So ask yourself, are my actions aligned with my words? Am I living my truth or performing it for validation? Do I let my results define me, or do I get caught in the endless cycle of explaining and defending? Because real power lives in the balance of quiet discipline and visible impact. It's the difference between talking about what you want to do and actually doing it. Between seeking applause and earning respect. Between noise and legacy. As you embrace this truth, you prepare yourself for the next essential step, changing the story you tell yourself, the inner dialogue that fuels your identity and shapes your reality. When your results speak louder than words, your internal narrative gains strength, clarity, and direction. Keep moving in silence, let your progress unfold like a powerful storm, and trust that your life will become the message others can't ignore. This is where true transformation happens, beyond words, beyond explanation, in the undeniable proof of your consistent action. What if the story you keep telling yourself is the very thing holding you back? It's easy to blame the world, others, or circumstances for where you are today. But the harsh truth is, the narrative inside your mind shapes everything, your beliefs, your actions, your future. Change the story you tell yourself, and you change your life. Your inner dialogue is the foundation of your reality. When you constantly replay stories of failure, inadequacy, or bad luck, you reinforce a limited identity. You start believing those negative messages as undeniable truths. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. Nothing ever works out for me. These aren't facts, they're worn-out scripts you've accepted. But the power to rewrite that script is in your hands. The Stoics taught that mastery begins within. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest minds in history, constantly reminded himself that his thoughts create his experience. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What you tell yourself repeatedly becomes who you are. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about consciously choosing how you interpret your experiences and who you want to become. Imagine your mind as a stage and your thoughts as actors. You get to decide which characters stay and which ones get the final bow. Negative thoughts are not villains, they're just old habits needing to be challenged and replaced. Instead of letting "I can't" or "I'm broken" dominate your script, replace them with truths like "I am learning," "I am growing," and "I have the power to change." Changing your inner story starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself, especially in moments of struggle or failure. Are you harsh and unforgiving, or are you kind and patient? Would you say those things to someone you love? If not, why say them to yourself? The way you treat your inner world matters more than you realize. This isn't about fake positivity or empty affirmations. It's about honest strength. Recognizing your mistakes, but not letting them define you. Saying, "I haven't figured it out yet," instead of "I'll never get this right." These subtle shifts in language act like bridges, connecting who you were with who you're becoming. As you practice this new voice consistently, your mind stops being a battlefield and becomes a refuge. You begin to root for yourself, to trust your path, and to silence the doubts that once held you hostage. The inner critic loses power when met with the voice of courage and hope. When you change the story you tell yourself, you stop chasing external validation. You no longer rely on others to repair wounds they didn't create. You free yourself from the weight of past mistakes and step boldly into a future you design. This shift is a game changer. But changing your story isn't a one-time event, it's a daily practice. Each time you catch a negative thought, pause and ask, "Is this really true, or just a familiar story?" Challenge the limiting beliefs patiently, but firmly. Replace them with new evidence, small wins, better choices, fresh perspectives. This is how transformation happens, quietly but powerfully. Your story is not carved in stone. You are both the author and the narrator. You hold the pen. It's time to rewrite the chapters that no longer serve you and to craft a narrative of strength, resilience, and growth. When your internal story aligns with your actions, the external world can't help but reflect that change. As this new story takes root, it prepares you for the next step, learning the power of restraint in your speech, knowing when to speak and when to listen. Because mastering your inner dialogue is the foundation that empowers every word you choose to say. So start today. Become aware of your thoughts. Speak kindly to yourself. Build a story that fuels your highest potential. Your future self will thank you. And remember, this is the beginning of everything. When you truly change the story you tell yourself, you unlock the life you were meant to live. Words are powerful. Every sentence you speak shapes your reality, influences others, and reveals the state of your mind. But too often, we speak without thinking, reacting impulsively to every stimulus, filling silence with noise just to be heard. What if I told you that true strength lies not in how much you speak, but in how wisely you choose your words? It's time to speak less and think more. Think about it. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? Those words, once out, can't be taken back. They can damage relationships, harm your reputation, and even erode your own peace. Speaking less is not about silence out of fear or weakness. It's about discipline, control, and respect, for yourself and for others. The Stoics, masters of wisdom and restraint, understood this deeply. Epictetus famously taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This ratio is not a suggestion. It's a roadmap to a more powerful, more present life. When you listen more, you understand more. When you speak less, your words carry weight. Speaking less means becoming deliberate. It means pausing before reacting, questioning your motives, and asking yourself, is what I'm about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer is anything but a resounding yes, maybe silence is the more honest and powerful choice. Because sometimes the best response is no response at all. This restraint creates space to observe, to reflect, to gain clarity. It lets you see the subtle details others miss, the tone in someone's voice, the shift in body language, the emotions beneath their words. When you speak less, you're not just holding back words, you're sharpening your awareness and emotional intelligence. But the benefits don't stop there. Speaking less also protects your peace. It prevents you from being pulled into every argument, every drama, every demand for explanation or defense. It lets you respond thoughtfully, not react impulsively. And in a world addicted to constant noise and distraction, your calm, measured voice will become a beacon of strength. This practice applies not only to your conversations with others, but also to your inner dialogue. When your mind spirals, when anxious or negative thoughts flood in, practice the same pause. Speak less to yourself. Think more. Observe your thoughts as if they were clouds drifting across the sky. Realize they come and go, and you don't have to cling to every one. Clarity lives on the other side of stillness. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, defend, or justify yourself, stop. Count to 5. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, does this really need to be said, or do I just want to be heard? Mastering this pause doesn't just make your words stronger, it makes your presence more powerful. When you speak less, people listen more. Your words become precious, impactful, and meaningful. You create a presence that commands respect not through volume or force, but through wisdom and intentionality. People notice when someone speaks only when it matters, and they learn to value that person's voice. This isn't about shutting down communication or becoming passive. It's about becoming deliberate, choosing your battles, choosing your moments, choosing your audience. It's about recognizing that sometimes silence says more than any words ever could. Speaking less and thinking more prepares you for what comes next, the power of silence as a tool for calm and centeredness. When you master the art of restraint in speech, you open the door to deeper stillness within, a stillness that allows you to stay unshaken in the chaos around you. So begin now. Listen more intently, speak more thoughtfully. Harness the incredible power of your words by using them sparingly and with purpose. Your voice is your power, make it count. Because when you speak less and think more, you don't just communicate, you command, you inspire, you lead. And that is a strength few ever master. Silence. In a world that never stops talking, never stops demanding your attention, silence is a radical act. It's not emptiness. It's not weakness. It is power. The power to stay calm when chaos erupts around you. The power to be centered when everyone else is losing control. Silence is the space where strength is born, the kind of strength that can't be shaken by noise, drama, or distraction. Think about it. How often do you feel overwhelmed by the noise of life? The constant chatter, the endless demands, the pressure to respond, to react, to perform? Most people rush to fill silence because they fear what might rise in its absence: anxiety, discomfort, unresolved emotions. But silence is not the enemy. It's the mirror. It reflects the truth beneath the surface and allows you to reconnect with yourself. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength, and calm cannot exist without silence." Silence is the calm at the center of the storm, the eye where your true power lives. When you choose silence intentionally, you're not running away from life. You're stepping out of reaction and into presence. When you encounter conflict, tension, or emotional turmoil, what's your first impulse? To speak? To defend? To vent? Those are natural reactions, but they often escalate the chaos rather than calm it. Using silence, choosing to pause instead of reacting, creates space. Space for clarity. Space for calm. Space to see the bigger picture. Imagine being the person who remains unshaken when others yell or demand attention. Your silence becomes a force, a boundary that says, "I am not available for this chaos." This stillness unsettles the reactive and empowers the mindful. People notice. They respect it. They lean into your calm because it's a refuge from the noise. But this kind of silence takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. Start small. When you feel overwhelmed, resist the urge to vent or respond immediately. Sit with your feelings. Let them flow through you without the need to put them into words right away. Let silence soothe, center, and restore you. Incorporate silent rituals into your daily life. A few minutes every morning without your phone, a quiet walk where you listen only to the sounds around you, deep breathing before you speak. These aren't luxuries. They are essential tools that sharpen your awareness and ground you in your own presence. Silence is where your inner voice grows louder. When you stop filling the space with noise, digital distractions, emotional outbursts, meaningless chatter, you reconnect with your instincts. Your clarity returns. The wisdom that's always been inside you breaks through the distractions. This is the silence of true power, not loud or forceful, but deeply present and grounded. It's the silence of leaders, thinkers, and warriors who know that control isn't about volume. It's about focus. It's about discipline. And it's about protecting your peace, no matter what chaos swirls outside. So when you feel pulled into drama or overwhelmed by noise, remember, silence is your superpower. Use it to center yourself. Use it to stay calm. Use it to build an unshakable foundation of peace that no external chaos can break. This silent strength naturally leads you to the next vital skill, protecting your deepest fears. Because once you master silence, you learn that not every fear needs to be shouted into the world. Some fears need only to be held with care, in silence, where they can be understood and healed. Mastering silence is not just about what you don't say. It's about what you create within, the calm, the clarity, the power to face any storm with unwavering peace. Embrace silence, and you embrace the strength that comes from knowing yourself deeply and standing firm, no matter what life throws at you. Your deepest fears are sacred. They reveal the most vulnerable, raw parts of who you are, the wounds, the doubts, the stories you carry silently inside. But here's the truth many overlook. Not everyone deserves access to that sacred space. Protecting your fears is not about shutting people out. It's about guarding the precious parts of yourself until you find the right hands to hold them. Too often, we rush to share our fears with those who haven't earned our trust, hoping for understanding, comfort, or validation. Instead, what we get is exposure, dismissal, or judgment. That sting cuts deeper than the fear itself. It teaches us to mistrust intimacy, to build walls not just around others, but around ourselves. This isn't just a moment of vulnerability. It's a crossroads where your power can either be lost or reclaimed. The Stoics understood this with clarity. Seneca warned that wisdom includes knowing the weight of your words, especially the ones spoken in vulnerability. Sharing your fears isn't a free pass for anyone to access your inner world. It's a choice, a powerful, deliberate act reserved for those who have proven they can hold your truth with care and respect. When you let your fears leak freely to the wrong people, you hand over control of your inner world. Those fears, instead of being contained and healed, get distorted or weaponized against you. Some will see your fears as weakness, some will use them to control you, and others simply won't understand, unintentionally breaking what you've worked so hard to protect. Protecting your fears means being selective, not closed off, but discerning. This discernment builds your inner circle, your true tribe. Those few people who meet you with depth, who honor your vulnerability without exploitation or judgment. It's not about quantity but quality. It's about trusting those who have shown over time that they can hold your fragility with strength. And perhaps most importantly, it's about learning to sit with your fears alone before you share them. Sitting with your fears in solitude is a revolutionary act. It means giving yourself space to understand the root of what you're feeling without rushing for outside approval or comfort. Not every fear needs a solution or fix. Some simply need your presence, steady, compassionate, patient presence. When you become your own safe space, you stop depending on others to calm your storm. You share your fears because you choose to, not because you need to. This shift changes everything. When you protect your fears and hold them with wisdom, you reclaim your power. You decide who enters your inner world and on what terms. You no longer give your peace away freely. Instead, you cultivate resilience, confidence, and a deep sense of self-respect that radiates in everything you do. Ask yourself, who truly deserves to hear my fears? Who has proven that they can hold this truth with care and without judgment? If the answer is uncertain, pause. Your fears are not a stage to perform on. They are a sanctuary to protect. Treat them with the sacredness they deserve. This careful protection leads to strength that is quiet but unshakable. It prepares you for the next critical step, how you handle your goals and ambitions. Because just like your fears, your dreams are fragile. Sharing them too soon, too openly, can expose you to unnecessary doubt and distraction. Protecting your goals is about the same wisdom, the same power you find in protecting your fears. In a noisy world that demands constant sharing, choose instead to protect your deepest fears. Guard them like the precious source of your strength they are. When you do, you build a foundation of inner power that no external force can break. This is not fear. This is fierce self-respect. This is the way to true freedom. And it starts by holding your fears close, knowing your worth, and trusting yourself above all else. Talking too much about your goals can be one of the biggest traps on the path to success. It's easy to feel proud, even accomplished, just by announcing what you intend to do. You set a goal, maybe it's to launch a business, write a book, get healthier, and the first thing you want to do is shout it from the rooftops. You tell your friends, your family, your social media followers. For a moment, it feels good. It feels like progress. But here's the truth. That feeling is a trick. It's a dopamine hit, a reward your brain gives you before you've even done the work. This false sense of achievement can quietly kill your drive. When you talk too much about your vision, you risk mistaking words for action. You feel like you've already arrived, when in reality, the real work is still ahead of you. The Stoics were clear on this. Epictetus taught, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Your energy should go into doing, not telling. Why is this so powerful? Because every time you share your goals prematurely, you invite external pressure and expectations. Suddenly, your dreams become performances. You start living for approval, not for progress. And when the inevitable setbacks come, because they always do, the fear of judgment can stop you cold. You may hesitate, stall, or even give up, not because your goal wasn't worth pursuing, but because you exposed it too soon to the world. There's a quiet strength in restraint. The kind of strength that comes from protecting your goals like fragile seeds. Don't dig them up early to show the world. Let them take root in silence. Nourish them with discipline, patience, and relentless action. Water your goals daily with focus, without the noise of outside validation. When your goals are ready to be seen, their results will speak louder than any announcement ever could. Look at the people you admire most, the ones who move quietly, consistently, without boasting or constant updates. Their power lies in their actions, not their words. They don't need to prove anything, because their results are undeniable. They understand that real growth is internal first and visible second. They let their discipline do the talking. This doesn't mean you should hide your ambitions forever. It means you should be strategic about when and how you share. Protect the early phases of your journey. Treat your goals as a sacred contract between you and your future self. No applause, no external validation, just commitment to the work. So, before you share your next big goal, ask yourself, am I sharing this to build momentum or to seek approval? Is this about genuine progress or just a quick reward for my ego? If it's the latter, pause. Redirect that energy into execution. Let your effort become your message. This mindset shift is liberating. You no longer need the audience to move forward. Your motivation comes from within, from your values, your vision, your integrity. You become your own biggest supporter, your own fiercest champion. You don't perform for applause, you build for impact. By keeping your goals close to your chest, you not only protect your momentum, but you also protect your peace. You avoid the distractions of unsolicited opinions, doubts, and negativity that can derail even the strongest intentions. Your focus remains sharp. Your confidence grows quietly but powerfully. This discipline also teaches you patience and humility, the understanding that real transformation takes time. It's messy, nonlinear, and deeply personal. But it's authentic. It's lasting. It's real. And as you master this art of silent progress, you prepare yourself for the next crucial lesson, the power of listening, not just speaking. Because to grow wisely, you must learn when to speak and when to hold your tongue. Listening deeply to others, to your inner voice, and to the world around you sharpens your perspective and strengthens your path. So remember, don't talk too much about your goals. Let your actions build the bridge between who you are now and who you're becoming. Let your results tell the story that words cannot fully capture. And trust that the right time to share will come, when your success no longer needs explanation but simply demands recognition. Your journey is yours to own, quietly, deliberately, powerfully. Keep moving, keep building, and watch how your silent work transforms into undeniable triumph. In a world that never stops talking, being a good listener is a rare and powerful skill. So many of us rush to speak, to be heard, to make our point, but how often do we truly listen? Real listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk. It's about fully engaging, opening your mind and heart to another person's words without judgment or interruption. It's about creating space for connection, understanding, and growth. Think about your last meaningful conversation. Did you listen to understand, or did you listen to reply? Most conversations today are overlapping monologues, two people speaking, but neither truly hearing. We're so caught up in defending ourselves, impressing others, or proving we're right, that we lose the chance to actually connect. And when that happens, relationships suffer, misunderstandings grow, and trust erodes. The Stoics taught us that listening is not just a social skill. It's a form of wisdom and discipline. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, believed silence and listening were foundations of a strong, disciplined mind. Epictetus reminded us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This simple ratio holds immense truth. Speaking less and listening more opens doors to insight, empathy, and clarity. Listening isn't passive. It's an act of presence, a conscious decision to lay down your need to be right, your ego's hunger to be seen or heard, and instead offer genuine attention. When you listen deeply, you give others the freedom to unfold, to express their true selves, and to be met with respect rather than interruption. In your stillness, people feel safe enough to reveal truths they might not even realize they are holding inside. Here's the paradox. The less you speak, the more others reveal. Your silence becomes a powerful invitation for authentic communication. You begin to notice things that were hidden before, the subtle shifts in tone, the language of the body, the emotions beneath the words. You start to understand more about people, about situations, and even about yourself. This kind of listening teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't always need to lead a conversation or be the loudest voice in the room. But being a good listener benefits more than just others. It disciplines your own mind. It slows down impulsive reactions, quiets the urge to control the narrative, and fosters patience. In that pause between listening and responding, your emotional intelligence sharpens, your perspective widens, and your relationships deepen. You learn to respond with intention, rather than react from impulse. Listening transforms communication from a battle to a collaboration. It teaches you that sometimes the wisest response is no response at all. In your next conversation, try this. Stop preparing your answer while the other person is speaking. Instead, look at them. Feel what they're really saying beneath the surface. Let their words land on your awareness, not on your ego. Because the world doesn't need more talkers, it needs more witnesses. People who hold space for others without judgment. People who hear between the lines. People who understand that the most powerful communication often happens in the silence between words. When you become that person, something beautiful unfolds. Your presence gains weight. Your words, when you do choose to speak, carry meaning. You become magnetic not because you dominate the conversation, but because you respect it. You inspire trust by showing that you don't speak lightly, that your voice carries intention, not impulse. This art of listening is the natural step after learning to guard your goals and ambitions quietly. After you've learned the power of moving silently and letting results speak for themselves, now you sharpen your ability to receive. Growth isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you absorb. And to absorb deeply, you must listen deeply. So commit to listening more, to truly hearing others without planning your next word, to opening your heart and mind, even when the conversation challenges you. When you listen well, you gain insights, build stronger bonds, and become a calmer, wiser presence in every room you enter. The path to inner strength isn't just about speaking with purpose, it's about knowing when to speak and when to listen. Master this balance, and you hold the key to deeper understanding, greater peace, and undeniable power. Next, we'll explore the crucial discipline of thinking before you speak, transforming your words into tools of wisdom, not weapons of chaos. Because speaking well begins with mastering your mind. Keep listening. Keep growing. Your strongest voice is waiting to emerge. Words are powerful. They build bridges or burn them down. They heal wounds or deepen scars. Yet, how often do we speak without thinking? How often do we let emotions dictate what comes out of our mouths? To truly master your life, you must master your words, and that starts with thinking before you speak. Imagine this, a heated moment, anger rising, pride flaring, fear pushing you to defend or attack. Your mouth opens and words spill out, words you immediately regret. Apologies may follow, explanations too, but the damage lingers. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They echo in rooms, relationships, and in your own mind. The Stoics knew this well. They understood that speech is not just noise, it's an action with consequences. Seneca said, "Speech is the mirror of the mind." If your mind is stormy, your words will be reckless. But if your mind is calm, your words will reflect steadiness and strength. That calm begins with pause. That pause begins with a simple choice: to breathe, to think, to choose before you speak. Thinking before speaking doesn't mean overthinking or silence born from fear. It means mindfulness, a deliberate moment to ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish with these words? Are these words true? Are they necessary? Are they kind? If the answer isn't clear, maybe silence is the stronger choice. This practice turns speech into a craft. It transforms impulsive reactions into thoughtful responses. It shifts conversations from chaos to connection. When emotions run high, logic feels far away. Anger wants to lash out. Pride wants to defend. Fear wants to explain. None of these voices serve your higher self. That's why the Stoics practice self-control in conversation, not to appear cold or detached, but to protect their peace and the integrity of their relationships. They knew that words can either build trust or shatter it. They understood that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. So how do you cultivate this power? Start with the pause. When you feel the urge to speak, especially in tense moments, breathe deeply. Give yourself just a few seconds. Ask, are these words aligned with my values, or are they coming from my wounds? Will these words help or harm? Do they reflect who I am, or just how I feel right now? In this pause lies your power. The power to choose words that build bridges, calm storms, and set clear boundaries. The power to speak with intention rather than impulse. The power to preserve your peace and deepen your connections. As you practice, you'll notice others begin to notice too. They'll feel safer around you. They'll listen more carefully, because you've shown that your voice is not just noise. It carries weight, purpose, and truth. This mastery over your words is the natural progression after becoming a powerful listener. When you listen deeply, you gain insight and patience. When you think before you speak, you wield your words like tools of wisdom, not weapons of chaos. Next, we will explore a critical step in this journey, freeing yourself from the constant need for approval. When you stop seeking validation from others, your words become authentic reflections of your true self, no longer shackled by the fear of judgment. Think before you speak. Speak with power. Speak with purpose. Because when your words carry intention, you begin to master not just your speech, but your life. Approval is a drug. Subtle, addictive, and silently controlling. From the moment we take our first breath, society teaches us to seek it, to crave the nod of approval from parents, teachers, peers, and strangers. We learn to shape our words, our actions, even our identity based on how others will react. But what happens when your sense of worth depends on the approval of people who don't even truly know you? You become a prisoner. Your peace fractures. Your confidence wavers like a flame in the wind, flickering with every compliment and criticism. The Stoics saw this trap clearly. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest minds of ancient wisdom, marveled at how we love ourselves more than others, yet care more about their opinions than our own. This paradox is the root of inner turmoil, this endless chase for permission to be ourselves. Imagine the freedom that comes when you stop handing over your peace to others, when you no longer measure your value by likes, comments, or fleeting praise. Because the truth is, no amount of external validation will ever fill the void inside. The applause fades, the compliments vanish, and if your foundation is built on their approval, you're left unstable, constantly seeking the next hit to feel worthy. So how do you break free? First, start noticing. Notice the moment you hesitate to speak your truth because you fear judgment. Notice when you silence your opinions just to fit in or say yes when you want to say no. These moments are leaks, holes in your armor where your power escapes. The Stoic solution isn't to become indifferent or uncaring. It's about caring correctly, about anchoring your self-worth not in applause, but in integrity. Measure yourself by your alignment to your values, not by the shifting opinions of others. This shift is radical. It means choosing authenticity over approval. It means saying what you truly believe, even if it means being misunderstood. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey back to yourself, gently but relentlessly. You begin by asking, whose voice matters most in my life? Why have I placed their opinion above my own inner knowing? When you reconnect with your inner compass, you start living from your center, not from the noise outside. Speak because you have something real to say, not because you want to be approved. Act because it feels right, not because you want to impress. Be who you are, even if it means standing alone. Because the moment you stop needing approval, you start living in alignment with your true self, and that is where real power lives. The people who truly matter won't demand you shrink or perform. They will honor you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. And that realization alone can transform your relationships, your mindset, your entire life. This lesson builds directly on mastering your words. When you think before you speak and stop seeking approval, your words become authentic and unshakable. They carry weight because they come from truth, not fear. And when that happens, something remarkable unfolds. You become a beacon of self-respect and clarity in a world full of noise. Next, we'll dive into protecting your dreams and plans, knowing exactly when to share and when to guard what matters most. Because just as your words teach others how to treat you, your discretion around your goals protects your momentum and fuels your unstoppable growth. Stop needing approval. Start needing only your own permission to be real. This is freedom. This is power. This is the life waiting for you. Your dreams are fragile. They start as whispers inside your mind, sparks of possibility waiting to ignite. But every time you share those sparks with the wrong people, you risk dousing the flames before they have a chance to burn bright. That's why you must be careful, extremely careful, about who you share your plans with. It's tempting to tell the world your vision. We crave support, validation, and encouragement. We want others to believe in us as much as we want to believe in ourselves. But not everyone is meant to hear your dreams in their early stages. Not everyone will nurture them. Some will doubt, some will mock, and some will unconsciously drain your energy with their negativity. And when that happens, it's not just their words that hurt. It's the seed of doubt they plant inside your own mind. The Stoics understood this better than most. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because true growth isn't about public approval. It's about personal transformation that begins in quiet, unseen moments. Your plans are delicate seeds. Digging them up too early to show the world risks, exposing them to harsh elements, criticism, fear, misunderstanding, that can stunt their growth. Think about it. When you reveal your vision prematurely, you invite others' opinions and expectations. Suddenly, your dreams are no longer just yours. They become a performance you feel pressured to uphold. That pressure can be paralyzing. You second-guess yourself. You hesitate. You stall. Worse, the fear of failure becomes magnified because now it's not just your failure, it's public. So, who deserves to hear your plans? Not everyone. Protect your dreams like the precious treasures they are. Share them only with those who have shown consistent care, wisdom, and respect for your journey. Those who understand the value of patience, who celebrate progress without demanding immediate proof, who hold space for your growth without judgment. And even then, be selective about how much you reveal. You don't need to spill every detail, every step, every fear. Sometimes, the most powerful support comes from those who simply stand beside you quietly, believing in your potential without needing constant updates. More importantly, learn to trust yourself first. Your relationship with your dreams should be sacred and private before it becomes public. When you nourish your vision in silence, you build resilience and clarity. You develop discipline without distraction. You create a personal contract between who you are now and who you're becoming, one that no outside voice can break. Remember, not everyone who listens wants you to succeed. Some are comfortable with you staying the same because your growth threatens their own comfort. Others may project their fears onto your dreams, intentionally or not. Protect yourself from that energy. Protect your vision. This isn't about secrecy, it's about discernment. It's about choosing your audience wisely. It's about understanding that your plans deserve space to grow strong before they face the world. When your time comes, and it will, the results will speak for themselves. You won't have to convince anyone. Your achievements will be undeniable. This lesson flows naturally from knowing your own worth and stopping the need for external approval. Just as you stop seeking permission to be yourself, you must stop seeking permission to dream. Own your path. Own your pace. Own your silence. Next, we'll explore the profound power of silence itself, a tool often misunderstood but deeply revered by the Stoics. Silence isn't empty. It's full of strength, presence, and control. It's the secret weapon that holds your power steady when the world demands noise. Guard your dreams. Guard your voice. And prepare to discover how true power often lives in what you don't say. Silence. In a world that demands noise, loud opinions, constant updates, and endless explanations, silence often gets mistaken for weakness. But nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is one of the most profound forms of power you can wield. It is the quiet force that commands respect without uttering a single word. It's the calm in the storm, the unshakable center that refuses to be pulled into chaos. Think about it. How often have you witnessed someone who talks less but moves with undeniable authority? Their silence speaks volumes. It communicates confidence, control, and clarity. Silence is not empty, it's focused. It's a space where your energy is protected and your presence amplified. When you choose silence intentionally, you reclaim control over your inner world and your outer environment. The Stoics, masters of emotional resilience and wisdom, understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the more we value things outside our control, the less control we actually have. In conversations, when we rush to respond, defend, or explain, we give away our power. Silence interrupts that cycle. It is the pause between stimulus and response, a sacred space where true strength is born. When someone tries to provoke you, and you respond with silence, you disarm their power. You remove the fuel from their fire. That calm boundary says clearly, I am not available for this energy, and that unsettles those who expect chaos or reaction. Your silence becomes a fortress, a shield that preserves your peace and protects your growth. But silence isn't just a defense, it's also an act of creation. When you stop filling every moment with noise, whether digital distractions, emotional outbursts, or endless chatter, something sacred happens. Your instincts sharpen. Your clarity returns. The answers that have been buried under distractions emerge. Your inner voice grows louder and wiser. Power is often mistaken for volume, for being the loudest or most forceful in the room. But the strongest people you'll ever meet are the quiet ones. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand when saying nothing says more. They know the weight of words, the impact of presence, and the magic of stillness. Use silence as a filter, as protection, and yes, as a weapon of peace. You don't have to engage every battle. You don't have to fill every pause. You don't have to prove your strength with volume or endless justification. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply not respond. Because silence is not absence, it's focused intention. In a culture obsessed with noise, visibility, and constant performance, choosing silence is revolutionary. It says you have mastery over yourself. It says you value peace over approval. It says you trust yourself enough to hold your power quietly, without needing validation from the outside world. This is not about hiding or withdrawing from life. It's about stepping into your power with presence and control. It's about owning the space between stimulus and response, and choosing your actions with wisdom. It's about being the calm in a world desperate to pull you into reaction. Silence sharpens your awareness. It deepens your presence. It magnifies your influence. And it protects your peace. As we embrace silence, we prepare for the next step, transforming the way we talk to ourselves, the inner dialogue that shapes our reality. Because true power doesn't just live in what we say or don't say to others, it starts in how we treat our own minds. The journey to inner strength continues. Stay with me. Your inner dialogue, the voice inside your head, shapes everything. It colors how you see yourself, how you react to challenges, and ultimately, how you live your life. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, criticism, or fear, no external success or approval can fill that void. That voice inside isn't just noise, it's the architect of your reality. Imagine waking up every day to a narrative that lifts you up, that fuels your growth instead of draining your energy. What if you could rewrite the script you've been running for years, sometimes unknowingly, and change the course of your life? This is not just a possibility, it's a necessity for anyone who wants to live with strength, clarity, and peace. Many people don't realize how deeply ingrained their inner dialogue is. Those negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, this is just who I am, become habits. Habits are powerful because they shape your beliefs, your actions, and your future. But here's the truth, they are not facts. They are learned patterns that can be broken. Changing your inner dialogue begins with awareness. Pay close attention to the words you tell yourself when you stumble, when you fail, or when you face setbacks. Are you harsh? Dismissive? Do you say things to yourself that you would never say to a friend? If so, that's your signal. That's where your transformation begins. It's not about fake positivity or empty affirmations. It's about honest, strong, and constructive self-talk. Replace "I'm a failure" with "I'm learning." Change "I can't do this" to "I haven't figured it out yet." Turn "I always mess things up" into "I'm working on doing better." These aren't lies, they are bridges. Bridges between your past self and the person you're becoming. The more you practice this new inner voice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, your mind shifts from a battlefield into a refuge, a place where you trust yourself, root for yourself, and lift yourself up. Because no one hears you more than you do. If your own voice isn't on your side, it's hard to win any other battle. This shift in inner dialogue changes everything. It frees you from the need for constant external validation. It breaks the cycle of self-sabotage and fear. It helps you stop living in the past and start designing a future worth believing in. You become the author and narrator of your own story, not a victim of circumstances or old wounds. Remember, your thoughts are architects. They build your reality. Choose to build something strong, something resilient, something worthy of your true potential. Challenge those old narratives gently but consistently. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," pause and ask, "Is this true or just familiar?" When fear whispers, "People always leave me," ask yourself if that's reality or a replay of past pain. The cracks you create in those old beliefs let light in, and in that light, transformation happens. You stop chasing validation outside yourself because you finally realize that your worth is not up for debate. It is inherent. It is unshakable. This is the power of mastering your inner dialogue. It's the foundation of every success, every calm moment, every confident step forward. Without this mastery, no amount of external achievement will bring lasting peace or fulfillment. As you cultivate this new way of thinking, your actions will follow. Your presence will shift. You'll communicate with more confidence, make decisions with clarity, and hold your boundaries with strength. Because a changed inner dialogue changes how you interact with the world. And that leads us to a critical next step: how you express yourself outwardly. How do you speak? How do you listen? How do you protect your peace through your words and silence? That's where the journey continues. So as you absorb this truth, remember, the voice inside your head is yours to command. Speak with intention, with compassion, and with strength. Change your story, and you change your life. The next lesson will teach you how to harness that inner strength in your outward communication. How to speak less and think more, so your words carry the weight they deserve. Stay focused. Your power is unfolding. As we close this journey together, remember this truth above all else. The power to transform your life, your peace, and your destiny has always been in your hands. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to justify your path to anyone. Your growth doesn't require an audience. Real power is quiet, consistent, and undeniable. You've learned how to keep sacred things sacred, how silence can be your greatest strength, and how the words you choose, especially those you say to yourself, shape your reality. This is more than philosophy. It's a blueprint for freedom. Freedom from chaos, from external validation, from the exhausting cycle of approval seeking. This is your call to action. Start protecting your energy fiercely. Guard your thoughts. Speak with intention. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Build your progress quietly, and when the world finally notices, it will be because of undeniable results, not empty promises or constant explanations. Walk away today with the fierce conviction that you do not owe the world constant updates. Your life is not a performance. It's a journey of depth, growth, and authentic transformation. When you embrace that, you stop reacting to noise and start creating your own rhythm. Be relentless in your pursuit of self-mastery. When the urge to overshare strikes, pause. When you crave validation, reflect. When doubt creeps in, remember, your worth is not defined by likes, comments, or the approval of others. It's rooted in integrity, discipline, and the quiet work you do when no one is watching. Imagine the freedom that comes from no longer feeling the need to explain every step. Imagine the power of letting your results do the talking, of living so aligned with your values that your presence commands respect. This isn't a distant dream. It's a choice you can make right now. Begin today by changing your inner dialogue. Replace doubt with determination. Swap self-criticism for self-compassion. Train your mind to be your greatest ally, not your harshest enemy. Because the voice you hear in your head has more influence over your life than any external force ever will. And here's the key. This path isn't easy, but it's worth it. It requires courage to be silent when the world shouts. It demands patience to grow in the shadows without applause. It calls for strength to hold your fears close and share only with those who earn that trust. But I promise you, when you do, you'll find a peace that no noise can break, a clarity that no distraction can cloud, and a power that no judgment can shake. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel the stirrings of change within, then don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because real change grows when it's passed on. Subscribe and join this community of seekers who refuse to settle for shallow approval and empty noise. Together, let's walk the path of intentional living, where silence is strength, where words carry weight, and where inner peace is the ultimate victory. Your life is your message. Make it one worth hearing, without saying a word. Thank you for listening. Now go forward with quiet power, unstoppable focus, and unwavering courage. The world may be loud, but you don't have to be. Your clarity, your peace, your power, those speak volumes all on their own.